What's up guys, welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDontWorkHereLady. Alright, this story's called, I don't work at the shop, I just hang around there. Originally posted from r/entitled People by me, link for the thread will be in the comments. So a little backstory. I'm a nerdy 25-year-old who loves to modify keyboards. I've modified a few of my own keyboards and ended up getting some good results. I then hang out at a friend's place who owns a keyboard shop who commissions and repairs keyboards. They also allow mods for their keyboard if they bring their keyboards there. I'm good friends with the owner and I usually hang out in his shop to learn how to build a keyboard from testing out the PCB to soldering the switches. Story. So I was at the shop just hanging around there and the employees and the owner/manager offered to teach me how to solder switches, which I'm bad at, and there I was just finished soldering around 10 switches. I'm pretty thin and weak, so I get tired easily. There I was, out to take a break from practicing on soldering the switches on the PCB, and there entered Karen. She had the haircut, the clothes, the nails, everything that a typical Karen would look like. And she had the attitude and walk to even confirm that she was definitely a Karen. Even though I don't work for the keyboard shop, she started snapping her fingers at me and started to call me and grab my attention like a dog. I don't really work for the shop, but I headed up to the Karen anyway and asked her for anything, since the owner and manager was actually at the bathroom taking a small break. Can I help you, ma'am? She brings out an old, dirty mechanical keyboard. I want you to fix this. Can you do it? I may look like an adult and might be interested in working in that shop, but I'm still a college student and I just really don't work there, sadly. And I tried to explain that to the Karen that I really wasn't an employee there. I'm sorry, but I don't really work here. I know you work here. I've seen you do stuff here every time I pass this shop. Now, I hang around the shop a lot, mostly because the keyboards are really well made and I was just a keyboard enthusiast. And looking at the keyboard she handed me, it was a whole mess. It felt sticky, it had hairs between the switches and the plate, the switches are stuck when pressed, the keycaps legends are faded, dirt and dust were piled under the keycaps, and everything else was just a whole mess. To be quite honest, the keyboard looked like it's been used for key smashing purposes than typing or gaming. I wasn't really interested in fixing someone's keyboard and I didn't know how to fix it, to be quite frank. I tried to explain to the Karen that I really wasn't an employee of the shop, but I'll go ask someone to get the keyboard, but she wasn't having it. If you don't fix this keyboard right this moment, I will have you fired. I know the owner here and I'll make sure that happens. But ma'am, I really don't. As I was about to say I really don't work here, owner/manager arrived. He tried to ask what was happening and he was quite concerned that the situation was escalating. What seems to be the problem? This employee of yours isn't doing his damn job. Fire this man. In my mind, I was like, really, lady? Or is she really serious about this? Somewhere along those lines. Now, the owner/manager is pretty calm and patient, but also has a way of dealing with entitled people. Get me the manager. Here's my ID. She shoved the ID in my face. I'll have you know that I'm the owner's wife and I'll get you all fired. He shoved that ID in my face and turned it to the owner/manager. Now here's something I know that Karen didn't know. The owner is actually a widower. His wife died over a decade ago, but that's a different topic. He knew that what she was saying was utter broccoli salad, and me and owner-manager got tired. He smiled and said, "Well, happy to meet you, Karen. I'm the owner and manager of the store." Now, he smiled, but the smile was so sadistic. Like, he has a scary smile. One that might scare cats and dogs. It's like he was a predator, a T-Rex or something. Karen went white. I think she just went from full entitlement to full-on, I just pissed in my pants scared, when she realized that she was talking to the owner. "Now, ma'am, I understand that you're upset with this man, but he's not a part of our staff. He's just someone who comes here and learns from us since he's here to learn what we do. I didn't know.
Furthermore, you claim to be a wife of mine, but my real wife died over 10 years ago.
Karen's jaw dropped. She now realized that she messed up and tries to apologize, but the owner-manager has grown tired of these Karens and decided to take drastic measures.
Since you're not happy with me or this shop, then I would like you to leave this store and never come back. Ever.
Music to my ears. I handed back her keyboard and stormed off. He picked up a phone and called a few numbers. I couldn't hear the whole conversation, but I heard the words ban and Karen. The next day, I was on my way to the shop only to find the Karen from yesterday was actually banned and tried to force herself back, only to get grabbed by employee staff and dragged her out of the store. Edit. Sadly, the place where my friend owns the keyboard shop has shut their doors when Brovid started. They had to shut down their business due to lockdown and ended up in bankruptcy. He now does commissions, if I recall, but I heard he changed cities and sold his phone to get back to his province. I heard he only does commissions through requests in his province, but I no longer have any contact numbers nor anything for me to contact him. That's kind of a sad ending to the story, but what a cool guy. Letting you kind of learn, taking you under his wing like that. It's pretty badass, but sad. This story's called Student Filmmaker vs. Karen. As we've been hitting this Modelo mess for the past year, it has given me a lot of time to think back on crap that has happened throughout my life. This is my happy little tale of how an angry Karen assaulted me because I didn't help her. That took place about 3 years ago. Here's the cast of characters. There's me, 20, male. Karen, old lady. Manager, I don't know if it's a dude. The story. This took place during my final year at uni, and as part of my course, film production in case you were wondering, we had to produce a short film in groups. I know. Crazy thought. We had just broken up for a lunch break and we all head out to get a bite to eat at various places. Why not go to the uni cafeteria, you may ask? Well, if you've been to uni, you know that they aren't the best places for food. You are honestly better going to a vending machine for sustenance than the caf. Oh boy, do I wish I had taken that option. Hindsight really is a bimbo. Fortunately, there were quite a few places around the campus that sold really good quality food for next to nothing. So off I go. I knew that I could be back within 10 minutes, more than enough time that the director had given us to go and get a bite. It's important to note that whilst the shop uniform was a black shirt and I was wearing a black t-shirt, I was also wearing jeans and trainers, something that nobody who worked for the store was wearing. So I quickly head in and pick up a drink and a sandwich. I don't know if this is the case in other countries, but a lot of the bigger brand stores will do meal deals on lunches here, and some of them are actually quite good. Anyway, back to the story. As I walk back to the counter to pay up, I pass an old lady. "Excuse me, sir, could you reach up and get me this item?" I can't remember what it was. Now, it's fair to say that I'm over 6 feet. I've always been tall, and often I would be asked if I could get stuff from the tops of shelves or in other hard-to-reach areas, from both family and random strangers. And getting confused as a staff member for this reason was quite common for me. Sometimes I would help, others I would just say some variation of, "Sorry, I don't work here," which is usually enough. But this old lady couldn't have been 5 feet tall, nowhere near tall enough to reach the top shelf. So me being the helpful person that I am, reach up and give her the item. She thanks me and heads to the till. I was about to follow her as I needed to get a move along, when I hear the sound that all know to fear. A sound that strikes dread into the fearless. That's right, the hem of the Karen. I initially ignore it, hoping that it wasn't aimed at me, but it was not to be so. As a second hem comes my way, I turn around to see what we would call here white trash lady. The kind of person that has an excessive amount of makeup on, short hair, wider than they were tall, wearing clothes that are probably groaning under the stress of having to fit around her very large body. Well, you probably get the picture. "Well, aren't you gonna help me?" "No, I don't work here." I try to walk off, but all that did was enrage the Karen. I could hear her waddling over towards me, which is when I felt pain shoot up my arm. Looking down, I see that she had dug all her fake nails into my arm. Not to the point that they had drawn blood, but certainly enough that there would be a mark there for a while. What the heck are you doing?
How dare you talk to me that way? Where is your manager?
Back at the campus, waiting to continue filming. I was hoping to elevate the mood by referring to the director rather than the shop manager. That, however, didn't seem to amuse her. Luckily, the actual manager was heading back into the office, and upon seeing this Karen clutching my arm, came over.
What seems...
She cut off the manager.
This employee didn't help me when he helped her.
She points at the old lady who is leaving the store before continuing.
I want him fired.
The manager takes one look at me, back at the Karen, then back at me.
This person is not employed by us.
Then why did he help old lady?
Maybe because old lady asked nicely and didn't assault me? It was at this point I was able to get my arm free of the Karen. The manager looked at me for a moment.
Sir, would you like to get the police involved? As I can see that you have been assaulted.
This sends the Karen over the edge. She starts blustering off about how they couldn't arrest her as she had simply made a mistake, along with threats that she knew the manager's boss's boss, and the CEO of the company. Not really. I honestly just wanted to get out of there and return to the set. The manager just nodded and I paid for my stuff and left, making sure to walk as fast as possible just in case that the Karen decided that she wanted revenge against me for daring to defy her. I got back in time and I filled in the cast and crew about what had happened, leading to a lot of laughter about the stupidity of some people before getting back to work. Some people are so entitled, man. Jeez. This story's called Guy Doesn't Believe I Don't Work at a Grocery Store and Tries to Get Me Fired for Not Helping Him. Obligatory disclaimer about being on my mobile phone. I used to manage a pet store in a suburb just north of Chicago. There was a large grocery store about a block away, and every Friday I would do the shopping for the store. I would purchase paper products, cleaning products, etc., as well as fresh fruits and vegetables for the animals. One Friday I was running around the store, picking up the items I need and doing so rather quickly because I had to get back to my store. An older gentleman walked up to me and asked where he could find a certain item. I don't recall what the item was, but I politely informed him that I did not work there. I could understand why there may have been a little confusion. The uniforms at the time of this grocery store was a royal blue polo shirt. I was wearing the uniform for my store, a seafoam green polo shirt, so incredibly ugly, with a royal blue apron over it. I was wearing my winter coat over everything, so I figured he just saw the royal blue and assumed I was an employee. Then again, I was wearing a coat and there are no other employees wearing coats. I continued quickly, moving through the store to get everything I needed, and I ran into him in another aisle. He said,
I understand that you don't work in this department, but perhaps you can help me anyway.
I apologized and pulled the top of my apron to the side so that he could see the name of the store where I worked printed on the shirt. Once more, I told him that I did not work at the grocery store and moved on to continue my shopping. I ran into him a third time as I was approaching the registers where he was standing with a manager, complaining about a rude employee who refused to help him. Just then, he looked up and saw me and said,
There she is! That's the girl who was rude to me. She refused to help me. I want her fired. It doesn't matter that it's not her department. She could at least attempt to assist me.
The manager informed him that, in fact, I was a customer and came in every week to do shopping for the store I managed a block away. The manager then turned to me and told me to have a nice weekend and he'd see me again the following week. The customer just kept looking back and forth between us with an expression on his face that was a combination of confusion and frustration. He simply didn't know what to do and harumphed and walked away. For a good year after that, every time I ran into that manager, he would ask me if I had been rude to any of his customers that day. That's a cute story. Very similar to the last one too. Like what the dude said, the entitled dude. Funny. This story's called I Got Weight Shamed by Someone Who Thought I Was an Employee. I was at Macy's looking for my first sports coat. This man and his wife, roughly early 70s, approached me and asked where some item was. I responded I did not know and that I did not work there. It was my first time in that particular store. He then asked if I could help him because he was shopping for his grandson and I was about the same size. I told him I was happy to help where I could. He asked me what my shoulder size was. Since I was shopping for my first sports coat, I did not know. He then commented that I was not very very helpful. He then handed me a coat he had in his hand and asked if I would try it on to see how it fit. I put it on. It was a little tight. He then commented on how I needed to lose weight. His wife called him out on his comments. Despite it being the middle of the day in the middle of the summer, I went on a 3-mile run in 95-degree weather when I got home. Wow, that guy was not very nice. But hey, good on you for putting work in. But pace yourself, bro.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.